You wouldn't believe who gave an endorsement to Mike McDaniel. Now, this is before he pulled his name. I was shocked yesterday. I texted you guys afterwards. I was down in Canton yesterday. My dad, he's going to be good to go, but we had a bit of a scare with Ken Sr., and he was in the hospital. And so I went to see, his girlfriend separates the peas and carrots from his noodles. He has his girlfriend separate the peas and carrots.
That's painstaking work.
I go, you understand, you better be nice to her, because if I did that, if I asked Liz to do that, I'd be eating it up off the floor. I couldn't believe it. And she said,
and she does it?
Oh, and she was sifting through the noodles.
I got to tell you,
and separating the peas and carrots.
I don't know who's more psychotic in that situation.
I could not believe
Big Kenny for wanting it done, or her for doing it?
Oh, Big Ken, he's been a psycho since the day I was born, and so way before that, that's something. But her being willing to do that, that's a totally different story. That is a good-hearted woman right there. Give her credit where it's due. He found a keeper. I think Mom would be happy. Anyway, I couldn't believe, he told me, he goes, I can't believe the Dolphins, because my dad's a Dolphins fan. He goes, if you guys can hire that Mike McDaniel, you need to hire that Mike McDaniel. I would look at him and go, what? Because this is a guy who grew up on Shula, for crying out loud. He goes, he got a raw deal. He goes, that Tua, he sucks. He sucks. My dad, Dad's not a football guy. He's a football fan. He's not a football guy. And he just goes, Tua sucks. I go, what? He goes, Tua put the screws to him. He should be there. Tua should be gone. It's just because they signed that contract. I couldn't believe it. He goes, Mike McDaniel, he wears those shades. He's got that cool air about him. I've watched him on the sidelines these last few years. That's not his fault. That's Tua's fault. I could not believe, because I haven't really talked Dolphins with my dad here and there, because we usually just talk Browns. I could not believe what he was saying about Mike McDaniel. I go, wow, I can't believe it. I'm going to tell a weird endorsement from down in Canton, Ohio from Mike McDaniel, and then he pulls his name out of the hat for the Browns job. And he probably thinks that Mike McDaniel's making a right decision. Yeah, Dad likes Mike McDaniel, and I wouldn't think Dad would like Mike McDaniel.
I wondered what it was there, because obviously it seemed like everybody eventually understood the quarterback wasn't good enough. But typically the coach just builds up so much over time, so many warts. If a coach is in one place, even if he won early, to sound familiar, eventually every game, every loss, it builds and builds and builds. That's why at the end, Mike Tomlin, there was like no approval rating for Mike Tomlin. Everybody wanted him out. Didn't matter what he had accomplished. Didn't matter that
Except
they won every
players,
year.
Apparently, they wanted him to stay. But
Well, Buffalo. Look at Buffalo and McDermott.
Yeah.
You couldn't find many guys saying bad things about him out the door.
No, you're right about that. 216-474-0092. I just thought it was odd. So do you think that McDaniel pulling his name out of this does us a favor? Does it show how bad the Browns situation is? I don't know how much of a favor. I remembered being, Dad would hate to hear this, I remember being pretty nonplussed about Mike McDaniel. I'm like, they're going to take Mike McDaniel. We'll see where this goes. I really was. I didn't think he was going to get a lot of time here. Like, part of, I think, the reason why I'm intrigued by Udinski is that I don't think it's going to go very well this season. I think they have a lot of building to do. I think maybe their quarterback is probably not playing in the NFL right now. Might have just finished up another year in college. And I go, you're not going to fire a 30-year-old unless he goes out and he embarrasses himself in public personally. You're not going to fire Grant Udinski. And I want some semblance of stability. And then you go, well, Sean McDermott's out there. You want stability, you can go get stability if he is willing to accept it. So I think that might be some of my appeal to Grant Udinski. And I didn't think that Mike McDaniel was going to have very much time whatsoever. Like, I could see fans being upset with him, fans not really getting along with him and his way.
I'll be honest.
And then they win 4 or 5 games next year, and then it's like, well, he's got to go too. Andrew's going to go, and now he's got to go too.
I'll be honest. When it comes to this, it's almost not a fair fight, because I've seen Mike McDaniel coach some impressive offenses given the limitations. I've seen him win games I didn't think they necessarily should have won. And so that sticks with me. I haven't seen anything from Grant Udinski. I said I'd be open-minded, but when you actually ask me, do you want this guy or this guy? For someone like me, I'm the opposite of the normal fan. The normal fan is like, well, I haven't seen Udinski fail, so I want Udinski. And I've only seen clips saying good things.
That's interesting. You want to see where the failures are and whether or not he got better at them.
But it's funny to me to see fans, they seem to be higher on Udinski now, even though they had never heard of him 3 weeks ago, They seem to be higher on Shieldhouse. They've never seen him fail. They don't know anything about him. They didn't know who he was 3 weeks ago. And so fans are looking for this moldable piece of clay, as opposed to me, where in a face-off, I'm like, Mike McDaniel can coach a football team tomorrow, and I think they would be a legitimate team. So
we don't know that about Shieldhouse or Udinski.
Yeah,
Boy, that's a hell of a point.
Those guys might fall flat on their face immediately. I don't know. You've only seen positive clips about these guys, but who's out there filming? Hey, I'm ready to go on record about Shieldhouse right now that he's not gonna succeed. No, you can't find that because nobody would do that. Nobody's going to do that for Grant Udinski either. So you're only going to see positive things about these guys because they've had no life experience. They've had no real work experience in the NFL where they had the responsibility. Who is running the show in Jacksonville?
It would. James Gladstone. Almost said Joey Gladstone.
But who's running
the owner?
No, who's running the offense?
Oh, I'm sorry, Liam Cohen.
It's not Grant Udinski.
I'm sorry, I didn't know what he meant by it. I didn't know what he meant by it.
Who's running the show with the Rams? It's a guy that handles everything.
Aaron Spelling. I didn't know.
But we want to hire somebody who has just a fraction of the responsibility, and then here's the head coaching job for the Cleveland Browns. Easy job, right? The Browns. Like, you see where it's hard for me to just accept.
That's interesting. So if
even though they might be good coaches down the road, and like Albert Breer said, they just might be too early.
Well, then you should be pounding the table because it seems like they're going to be getting ready to make themselves a hell of a mistake, according to you.
Well, they are, but
you should be going right against Grant Udinski then.
But
save us from him.
But this is not a great candidate pool. Let's be honest. There have been years where, would I have loved to have Mike Vrabel? Yes, he wouldn't have wanted this job. Would I have loved to have, one of the Harbaughs over the last 4 years?
Well,
would either of them have taken this job?
I think that one of the issues that are brought up,
Sean Payton,
because you're making me think differently here, is where you would go to it and go, if you don't think that this is a great talent pool when it comes to candidates or a experienced talent pool, because you don't really know, you're right. And because I don't know him, we like a good story. We like to mold our own guy. And I just said it. I was like, well, I don't think it's going to go that well, but you're not going to fire the head coach. Well, then that becomes a Barry issue. That becomes a Barry issue where then maybe you need to talk everybody into, well, not everybody, because I think a lot of Browns fans would agree with you. If you want legitimacy at that head coach spot, would seem late to be willing to move on from Andrew, but should you be willing to move on from Andrew for a Sean McDermott? You just lost a power struggle. I'm going to use him as an example. You're a good coach. You went to the playoffs 8 years. Okay, that's a good coach. You lost a power struggle to Brandon Beane. And now, after you got canned after this, you've seen everything else that's going on where, man, that roster really ain't that good. If you're Sean McDermott or you're the Browns and you want to get Sean McDermott, maybe we need to go to the table about the possibilities of moving on from the general manager. Who do I put in, though? Who do I put in that I trust? See, these are questions. I'm just asking questions I can't answer right now.
I wonder, I gotta say,
unless it's Glenn Cook or somebody in the green folder.
I wonder today, right now, how happy is Jimmy Haslam with the coaching search? He's seen what's happening. He saw surprise jobs open up in Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and he's seen the guys we're interviewing. One of them hasn't been interviewed by anybody else. The other has been interviewed by the Ravens. Shieldhouse has been interviewed by the Ravens. But I do wonder if already there is a little bit of regret from Jimmy Haslam about not maybe just maintaining Andrew Berry, but having him run the coaching search.
If there is regret, then you're going to ask him to do something that fans are not going to want to do, except if they want Andrew Berry out, then they're going to want to do him because they only want the owner to do the decisions they want to make. You're going to want your owner involved because then your owner's going to go in and go, we're not being able to get these candidates, and possibly that's because of you. We may need to remove you from this equation. I just want to know, do you want some stability? McDaniel gone, and you've made a hell of a point here. Now, you haven't been, I got to tell you, you would usually be more strong-willed and mean about this, but you've brought up Udinski. No track record of success, but there's nothing negative there that you can go, what did he fix? What did he need to fix? Same thing with Shieldhouse.
Because he's had no responsibility.
McDermott, we've seen the warts, and it's almost like, eight playoff appearances ain't enough. No, I think a lot of people like Sean McDermott. But I think if we're going to have that conversation, and I'm not, by the way, you can hear me, I'm following you on some of this. Well, if Sean McDermott won't walk through that door, Harbaugh's Harbaugh. I do believe Ian O'Connor, he might have had vision of grandeur. And I listened to the press conference yesterday, and he said that his dad watched the video with him, the tape with him, and said this team can be good. And maybe he felt that way. And he's always had a feeling about the Giants. So maybe that was just never, ever going to have a chance just because we're not the New York Giants. Okay, fine. But if it's McDermott who won't go through, or there's a lack of trust with somebody else, yeah, I think you then need to re-examine Andrew Berry and figure out whether or not that he's going to be a guy to lead you into the future while you're still in the month of January.
Well, I wonder if he talked Jimmy, because obviously there's extensive conversations that happened the last month of the year into the offseason. Jimmy was around the team a bunch. You wonder what kind of promises that Andrew Berry might have made as he was either jockeying for position, knowing that Kevin was going to be on the way out. What is your structure, your hierarchy going to look like post Paul DePodesta, post Kevin Stefanski? And you wonder if Jimmy's like, are you hearing anything about the available pool of candidates? Mm-hmm. Like who are the hot names? Do we have a chance at any of these names? Do you think Andrew Berry told him, oh, there's some guys that have never really done anything, but people speak really highly of them? Do you think that would have been enough for Jimmy Haslam? Because that strikes me as something that would not have been enough.
It would take an insane...
That exists every year.
It would take an insane amount of trust.
There's always a bunch of guys behind the scenes that no one's ever heard of who people feel, hey, in 5 years, that could be a head coach.
Exactly, in 5 years, not 2026 when we're trying to do something now. Because again, you've brought up the pitfalls of this. You just signed Myles Garrett to basically a lifetime deal. Like, yeah, you can trade him, but the ramifications of that, the only thing that saves you are draft picks, which means we'll see in 3 years. Like, that's how tough that is. So it would take almost an insane level of trust in Andrew Berry to do that. And you're right. Keith had texted me during the break, and I thought that he had a hell of a point of it. Andrew Berry bringing in guys to interview and taking them seriously who don't have a lot of experience, who could be having so many pitfalls as new, younger head coaches, that doesn't speak like a guy who's afraid of his job. Who's afraid of his job security. And I think a lot of fans could be looking at this, and this is what, I mean, hey, I'm interested in Udinski. I haven't seen much, and there's something there that just, it's a terrible explanation because you would go, well, wait a minute, you want somebody you trust. McDermott, somebody you would trust. Schwartz is somebody you trust. Yeah, but you can't help but wonder, are you sitting on the next great big thing? And I'm a fan just like everybody else. So there's definitely interest there in Udinski, but you could see yourself doing this and going, you know what, Andrew Berry ran this just like he does with the draft, where you're taking shots on guys when you could have had this one, you could have had that one, you could have had this one, you could have had that one, and then we're left with this mess. So I've left you in charge of drafts where you've been 1 out of 6, and I've left you in charge of a coaching search and you're 0 for 1. What are you still doing here? Like, you could be saying that at the end of December. And because of the roster that you already have, yeah, more than likely you could, because we'll definitely find things. If you're not winning, we will find things to pin on Grant Udinski. We'll find plenty to plan on Nate Scheelhaus. That'll happen.
Now, the other part of this, which we'll never know, maybe this is something that gets leaked out later if, like, Shedeur ends up being really good, but is there a chance that Grant Udinski told them everything they wanted to hear about their quarterback room, be it Shedeur, Deshaun Watson, or Dylan Gabriel?
Does he feel that way?
Could somebody be trying to get to the top as soon as possible? And that wouldn't be the first time an interviewee
I think that would
says some really nice things about an organization.
Hey, man, if you're trying to make it up the corporate ladder, that's one thing. If you're trying to be a head coach of the NFL where your work is on display for millions of people because of television every single Sunday, you owe it to your future and to yourself and all the work you've already done. I don't care what age you are, to tell them the absolute truth of what you feel about that quarterback room. If you're just saying nice things to get a job, this is going to be a disaster unlike anything we've ever seen.
Well, what do they say in the...
And that's saying something because we've seen plenty of disasters.
What do they say in the corporate world? You can either sleep your way to the top or lie your way to the top. One or the other.
You know what they say in the show world?
Reckless speculation.
You're scaring the bejesus out of me. Don't do that again.